Dot characters are like bullets. Kafka is the gun pulling the bullets. Okay? Without the guns is pointless.
Actually, Kafka is required if you want to clear MOC12 in time. You can play whatever you want, but be prepared it won't be optimal for endgame.
Cope.
Still, Dot is seriously gonna need some serious fixes, or a game mode to help them be more useful. I'd rather max out my Susang rather than touch any Dot characters, just because of how conceptually flawed Dot mechanics are to begin with. People will realize how much they need Kafka to make Dot work.
Black Swan has been the target of a lot of slander recently, especially in the days leading up to her release. And this is going to be my final video on the matter, talking about Black Swan's viability and proving Black Swan's viability without Kafka. I have talked to many people about Black Swan's viability without Kafka, and now that there are other creators starting to vouch for her viability without Kafka, I don't seem that much in the wrong anymore. And all it took was a bigger creator such as Gacha to prove this wrong to everyone. Now, I am going to be doing the exact same clear in this video that Gacha did, but then I'm also going a bit further beyond and doing a Memory of Chaos 12 clear. Now, as this going to be my last video on the matter, I basically wanted to make sure we are all on the exact same page. So first off, this is the definition for need, and this is the definition for optimal. You see how they're pretty different? Well, it seems like a lot of people don't really understand that these two are different words, as I see people using them interchangeably. So if you still don't get it by the textbook definition of it, let me explain. If you need something, then you cannot go without it. It is physically required, otherwise you cannot go about your day-to-day life. That is what need is. And optimal is something that is best case scenario. Something that obviously is not needed because you can still do the job without it. But if it's optimal, then simply that just means it's best case scenario. So Kafka is always going to be optimal. That is no lie. No question, no doubt about it. Kafka is going to be optimal 10 times out of 10 for the foreseeable future. However, she will not be a need. So the first clear here is going to be Sampo, Ruan Mei, Black Swan, and finally Tingyun. The reason why we opt for Tingyun over a healer is literally just because Ruan Mei provides so much value in this fight that the enemies are constantly broken and we take a tiny bit of damage, but actually that works forward or towards us because it helps us get our ultimates quicker. Something I will say though is sometimes it is required to skill twice with Ruan Mei just to make sure her ultimate is up, because if her ultimate isn't up, then you are not going to get the flower above the enemy's health bar, which is going to allow you to break them twice. So in both of these clears, I do have Black Swan's Cone, but it is not going to be equipped. I'm going to be using a Refinement 3 Eyes of the Prey, because that's just the best thing that I have otherwise. And it's also like a lot more free-to-play friendly, obviously. If you're thinking about going for Cone or E1, I would definitely recommend going E1 instead of Cone. However, I just like collecting the cones. I've done it for like all the characters, so. And also in this clear, I will show off the gear after I've shown both the clears. And you'll notice that one of my 4 stars, either Luca or Sampo, is going to be pretty much naked. That's literally just because I'm taking the gear from one of them and putting it on the other character, excluding planar sets. So that's how I'm gearing them. It's literally just throwaway stuff. The 2-piece break effect that I have is literally from a weekly boss that I did earlier that day, and it's pretty bad. So, you know. Also, just before I show you the clears, I wanted to say that the Sampo one does get a bit risky, but that is literally just because of my own misplaying. I could have had enemies dead well earlier. I just thought they were gonna die. Because obviously I use Black Swan's cone, and I thought that her explosion was going to do a bit more damage, but it didn't, because I'm not used to using Eyes of the Prey. I'm used to using her cone, so that's a player skill issue on my half. So obviously you can do it with a way healthier clear, and if you want evidence of that, just watch GotchaSmack's video. So I'll link the timestamp and the video below if you want to check that out. But yeah. One thing I will say is this does require an E4 Sampo, so if you do not have him, then you're probably going to be looking at a different clear. But generally with Black Swan, you really want a Luca or an E4 Sampo, just so they can re-trigger their own dots and stack Arcana. So now let's look at the Luca clear. A few things that I want to say about the Luca clear. My Luca's gear is terrible. It's pretty much a copy-paste of Sampo's, apart from my Luca is built for break effect. Like, he has break effect planars, as well as the fact that this is going to be a 5-cycle clear, literally just because of how strong that centaur is in terms of resistances. Not only is it wind resistant, but it doesn't have a physical weakness, so my Luca couldn't break it. And in a team based around breaking stuff like Dot, especially with Rohan Mei, there's a lot of downsides to not being able to break the enemy. I could have potentially used Gwynaifen for a quicker clear. I'm not sure though, because my Gwynaifen is pretty bad. So with all that being said, once again, no Black Swan cone, just a normal clear. 5 cycles is good enough. If you're going to go into the comments and say, yeah, but you didn't clear it within 20 cycles, I have actually 3-starred it, but that was just because I was trying some random team. I was trying to see if Kafka and Gwynaifen worked in the first half, I think, and it didn't work very well. So that's that. So here you have it. These are two teams that have been built around Black Swan that work in Memory of Chaos 11 and 12. Did Luca and Sampo do a lot of the damage? Yes. You know why? Maybe because they're good units. So the moral of the story is do not doom post a character before they even release, and if you're going to doom post, at least doom post when you know what their kit does, and when you understand the difference between need and optimal, because by English definition in the dictionary, they are two completely different words. And Black Swan works completely fine without Kafka. If you really like her, then pulling her is a good idea, especially if you have a decent Sampo, because as I showed in this video, you can very easily clear Memory of Chaos 11, and if anything is win weak, then Sampo is going to be a very nice pick to run into Memory of Chaos. And obviously if you don't have that, just put in the dot that fits the weakness. That's pretty much how you should treat the 4-star dot characters, because they're all very interchangeable dependent on the resistances and weaknesses of the enemies. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. That's all I wanted to prove. I wanted to prove that I was right about the fact that Black Swan works without Kafka, and Kafka is amazing. If I didn't think that, I wouldn't have pulled for her light cone, and I wouldn't have her right now in my team. But at the same time, Kafka is not so amazing that she is the quote-unquote foundation of dot teams. This whole idea, I don't know where it came from, that Kafka is the building blocks for dot teams, is just completely stupid and absolutely out there as something that really shouldn't exist. Because people had been running dot well before Kafka. I was running it to clear the hardest Memory of Chaos when I was using Luca, because bleed dot is absolutely insane when you break effect. So I'm just going to use the example from the beginning. No, Kafka is not a gun, and the dot characters are not bullets. It is more like the dot characters are a gun, and Kafka is just an attachment. The gun is still a gun, without the attachments, but the gun does sure do a lot of more damage when you put on the attachments. That is the moral of the story, and that's it for today. If you like the video, give it a like. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you've got anything to say in the comments, I will try and respond to as many as I can, and dropping a subscription would really help me out. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next one. Peace.